Hey guys, what's going on? Nick here, Mr. Millionaire Insight. What's going on? So, forgive us here if we had a little bit of delay here. We're just kind of trying to iron out some details here. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. This is the official season 6 premiere of Freedom Fridays, but we do something a little special once a month called the Entrepreneur Spotlight. So just forgive us if we had been a little behind, but I have the idea here to do features every month. I do a show at Freedom Fridays. If you don't know me or you don't know my show, it's called Freedom Fridays. I am Nicholas Francis, and I try my best to do a program centered around money, finance, entrepreneurship, online income, and things like that. So if that is for you, please be sure to follow me here on Facebook or on YouTube. I also have a Freedom Friday podcast. You can also check that out too. But today we're doing something that is near and dear to my heart because I am an entrepreneur, and I wanted to do something special with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Kevon Husband. So here he is, guys. Let me tell you, let me give you, if I can, Kev, let me give a little bit of background. So we have been friends for a long time. What is it now, like 25 years?
It's got to be longer than that. I would say at least since childhood.
Yeah, so you know, we have been in around each other's life since what, primary school?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, primary school.
Didn't we also go to the same church too?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So, man, and I've been going to that church since I was like, what, maybe 5? So yeah, probably about 30 years. So, which means you're probably one of my oldest friends, actually. Wow, I don't know, realizing that again is kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that I haven't done anything for 35 years but live. But
yeah. Yeah, but tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do and what, you know, I know what's special about you, what I think is special about you, but give them a little background to, you know a little bit about who you are and what you do and kind of what means the most to you in this journey.
Well, okay, let me just say good night to everyone. Special good night to everyone viewing, everyone that can hear my voice, see my face. My name is Kevon Husband. Yes, that's my real name. I do motivational speaking, and I like to define myself as more of a motivational thinker and a positive speaker. That's how I define myself. My goal in this life is to spread positivity and to influence the way how we think, to influence the way that our thought process goes along, to influence the way that our results are affected by our thoughts, our initial reactions. That's my goal, to spread positivity.
Yeah. So, you know, I wanted to, obviously we got a couple questions here that I'm going to ask you, but, you know, a lot of what people assume about, you know, motivational speakers, like we're just here to pump you up and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about the misconception behind motivational speakers in your opinion?
Well, I would use myself for example. I used to be what I describe as the world's biggest pessimist. Everything I did, I expected a negative result. So what it is, my life would follow suit. You know,
right.
As the scripture says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So my life went along that negative path, and then I had a flash in the pan light, as to say, and I realized, wait, every time I have thought negative, I've been 100% right. So the only thing I've been absolutely positive about was my negativity.
Oh, wow.
And I decided that I wanted to be, let me try going positive. And when I went positive, my life changed. My
Mm-hmm.
I got my own vehicle. I started to earn more money. I started to
Mm-hmm.
exercise. I lost weight. I put
Mm-hmm.
on muscle. And I'm not
Nice.
saying that it it was a fly by night fairy tale for me, but
Right.
what it has happened is, to quote Napoleon Hill, anything the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I started
Definitely.
believing in myself, and I was like, wait, if this concept would work for me, it could work for other people. So to come
Definitely.
back to the initial question where you asked about the misconceptions with motivational speakers, is that I personally believe we all have a story within us. We all could be
Mm.
motivational in some form or fashion. So it's not like they are up and they are just to pump you up, but it's
Right.
more for you to change your mentality the same way I did.
Definitely. Definitely. And I like what you said because at first it was like, you were kind of focused on the fact that most of the things that happened to you, they were negative, and that's one thing that you were sure about. But in the latter here, that everyone has that side of them, that they can be uplifting, they can be motivating and things like that. But it is a mindset. It definitely is a mindset, and the powerful thing that you talked about is just the fact that you have made that switch, and because you made that switch in your mindset, it definitely helps with um, just changing your life, because we talk about this a lot. You change your mind, you change your life. So it's funny to see that that mind, that whole concept still remains the same even between two speakers. So that's powerful, man. That's powerful. And I
Well,
want
something,
go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah,
uh,
something I would like to add is that
mhm.
it got to the point that my mind had changed so much that I actually had the confidence and the knowledge to write a
Mhm.
book about positivity. So I went from
Wow.
being the world's biggest
Pessimistic.
optimist to actually producing and authoring a book on positivity.
Right. That's amazing, man. And obviously we're gonna link to Kevin's book, and his other social media below. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. So I wanted to, it kind of leads into what we're talking about here today, and I just wanted to bring up these questions, so we can kind of get some of these answers off too. And if you have questions, if you're tuning in live, and of course, like and share the live, it is appreciated to have this going out, because I think this is what we're going to talk about today is going to be pretty powerful, because it has to do with you know your mind, and how you view the world, your worldview and your perception. But more specifically for us, because we are both from Trinidad and Tobago. We are from the islands and stuff like that. That comes with a whole culture behind it, and we wanted to talk about how that relates to entrepreneurship and our culture's view on entrepreneurship, and doing things like that. So, with the first question I had here, Kev, is what are some of the things that inspired you as a kid?
Well, what it is happens is that as a child, you're still in your formative years, so
Hmm.
you would tend to look up at like older relatives, guys on the street. You would look up at like politicians, sportsmen. But if I was to say there was one bit of inspiration that I had, is that I was a big, and still am a big, soccer/football fan, because I know the viewing audience in Trinidad would understand the term football. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, and the first person that I admired was Diego Maradona. And then
Wow.
on a local
Powerful.
level, you know,
Uh-huh.
growing up in church, there was older guy, Richard Lynch, who actually played football
Yeah.
for the church.
Shout out to
and
Richard.
he had a very big impact in my life. And I told him that on several occasions. He's one of the reasons
Right.
why I started in the job that I did. He was one of the
Right.
reasons why, because to me, he was like a Superman,
Right.
and he was in the military and stuff like that. And he always treated me with respect. He always spoke a positive word into me. So whether it be like, listen, stay in school, do something with your life, stay connected to God, don't do drugs or whatever, he would always have something positive to say. So, Richard, if you're listening, I appreciate that.
Definitely. Shout out to Richard Lynch. I'm also a very, very big supporter of his because, he also had a profound effect on me. For those of you who know him, you know the kind of man he is, you know the kind of character he has. But when I first met him, the cool thing about it was he's a musician, and back then I was like maybe 6 years old, and I thought it was the coolest thing. But getting to know him over the years, it really he really mentored a lot of us kids and did his best to keep us on track and things like that. So shout out to you, bro, and we really appreciate everything you do because it matters. Coming from two people that grew up along the way, under your influence. So shout out to you, bro. So that's also something I wanted to talk about, the mentorship and things like that, like people that come into your life that make a difference, and who really affected how your thought process was formed. But along those lines, like having powerful mentors, like talk about that, like the value of having a powerful, not even just a powerful mentor, but a strong mentor in your life. How is that impacting you in your life?
Well, this is what I would say. Apart from Richard, there were a lot of other guys, too numerous to name at this point. I could say Patrick Stanley, Kelvin Jackson. I could start naming a lot of these guys. Uncle Albert. You know what I mean? I could start naming a lot of these guys. But I think what it is that you saw people who were what we would call accomplished, and they were doing stuff, they weren't doing anything negative. And I think when you see that, it unconsciously reinforces that, hey, listen, you don't have to fall at the wayside. Like right now I'm actually working on a production where I have something I'm doing to advise young people, because even though these guys were present as mentors, what it has happened is that sometimes there was certain advice that you didn't get. Mm-hmm. And this is where we need mentors to step in. Right. Your mom, your dad is not always going to be able to get everything. Right. But having a mentor, that alone sets you up for success. Yeah, definitely. That sets you up that sets you up as like, okay, somebody's in your corner backing. Right. Somebody's gonna hold you accountable. Somebody is gonna encourage and scold you. Exactly. And I think even your dad, God rest his soul. Yeah. He scolded me one time, and I still remember that. Oh wow. That was the only time he ever scolded me, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I didn't take it personal. I took it as like a positive. Right. And I'm grateful to him for that. Yeah, definitely. And it's been, that's something I actually didn't even know, because he's always the type to kind of shy away from doing something like that. So if he definitely was an influence in that way, I'm glad for that, because obviously you guys know him very differently than how I would know him as a son. Oh, but, I definitely needed the scolding, so I'm not even I can't say what I was doing, but I definitely needed that scolding. Yeah. So
Speaking of my dad, like I would say he is probably the biggest influence on me as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a man of God, even as a motivational speaker. I would say that he probably had the biggest impact and the biggest reason why I became a speaker. Because if you heard him speak for any length of time, you kind of heard the same vibrations in his voice. Like he always, when he spoke to you and he sat down and spoke to you, you definitely felt what he was saying, and that's kind of where that came from him to me. And so that probably is my biggest mentor. God, again, God rest his soul, we lost him last year, but he is in a better place, he's on to glory. So it is all the reason to celebrate because he has graduated ahead of us. So um but going to the next question real quick here. So when like talking about mentorship and all that kind of stuff, and obviously that time period in your life, when would you say that you figured out that you were meant for something more, even if it's not in that time period in your life, but along your journey? When would you say was a moment that you discovered that you were meant to do something more than you were doing?
Um, I had two flashes
Uh-huh.
of brilliance.
I like that.
Actually, I had three, sorry. So, and I remember like this. When I was 14 years old, there was a situation, and I used my words to calm down the situation.
Hmm.
And, people couldn't believe it was me. So they were like, no, that couldn't be Kevon. That couldn't be Kevon.
Right.
And that stuck with me. And I was like, that couldn't be me. Then at 19, I had another flash in the pan,
Hmm.
and it was really, really brilliant, and it was acknowledged by a lot of people, but I never stepped on to it. And then
Right.
at the age of 28, that was when I realized, wait, I had a calling to use my voice
Hmm.
to bring change, to affect change.
Right.
And I wasted 14 years of it because I was afraid of what people would say, or I wouldn't have people's approval. And
Right.
like I tell people this, that the two happiest days of my life is when my son was born and when I stopped caring about what other people thought about me.
Oh
That
wow. Powerful.
basically was the driving point. And from the age of 28 up to now, I
Hmm.
knew that I had to do something with motivation. I had to motivate
Right.
people. I had to say
Right.
the right words.
Right.
I had to read books. I had to study people who speak so I could learn to speak. So whether it be, I had
Right.
to study guys like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown.
Right.
Whether it be, I had to watch politicians. Whether it is, I had to watch the news just to hear them speak. Whether I had to watch
Hmm.
political rallies. Whether I had to watch preachers in church, Dr. Reverend Alistair Alexander.
Right.
Whether it is Dr. Turnell Nelson, or whatever it is, I had to
Wow.
listen to, who
Yeah.
spoke to large masses. I had to acquire that skill.
Right. Definitely. And you mentioned Les Brown. Man, let me tell you, Les Brown has been a huge kind of beacon in my journey as a speaker, because my father used to read books and stuff like that, like Norman Vincent Peale, um, John Maxwell, all those different
Mm.
authors and stuff like that. But
I
he
feel like you're
did
talking
so.
about my library. Because all those books are in my library.
Yeah, listen, bro, listen, and this is one of the biggest keys, I think, to success, because you do have to change what you put into you. It's not just working out and eating right, eating clean, and all that stuff. You gotta feed your mind too. And from a very early age, I'm talking about 5 or 6, before you even start primary school, like my dad was reading these stories to me, like what is it? Not John Maxwell. I'm forget. Dale Carnegie. So Dale Carnegie came out with a series of books talking about how to win friends and influence people, you know, sales and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff was bedtime stories. You know what I mean? And so from a very young age, my dad poured into me these stories about these men who were great orators, who changed the world through the power of their voice. And I promise you, bro, I will speak on a stage alongside Les Brown in the near future because that is my goal. Like that is one of the people that I admire most in the space. So I'm definitely putting that out there, man. I'm definitely gonna be
Yeah,
working the
that
stage with him.
that's one of my goals too, because I became I joined the mentorship program of Champion Mindset, and they have Les Brown doing a lot of events for them. So I'm like,
Yeah,
this has gotta happen. That's on my vision board.
yeah,
I wish I had walked with the paper. It
uh,
literally says speak alongside Les Brown.
yeah. I have that, man. I'm telling you, it is so funny that you say that because that's been a part of my vision board every time I make a new one. Because obviously when you hit a goal, you smash through a goal, you gotta re-aim, you know what I'm saying? So every time I write a new one, I make a new one, I put that on there, and until it happens it's always going to be up there, you know what I mean? And that's such an awesome thing, man. It really is.
It
So
truly is.
you know what I because when I came across, I just have to make this observation here. When I first saw your videos, it actually took me aback because I didn't even know in the least that you were interested in the space. You were interested in doing something like this. It was definitely a powerful thing for me to see that, somebody that I knew for all these years is doing the same thing or around the same thing that I am. It was pretty cool, man. I had to tell you that.
Well, remember, like I said, I once was the world's biggest pessimist.
I
So
like that so
our,
much.
our paths would not have crossed because my mindset wasn't there. I put out a lot of foolishness and a lot of negativity on social
Yeah,
media. Now I look back and I'm like, that's not me.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely a
And then I
different
learned
you.
from it. And
Yeah.
some of the people who I would associate with were also not the best individuals. And
Hmm.
I always have a saying. I tell people that when you change your mindset, you change your friends, you change your acquaintances, and whatever you make room for, that is what God would give you. You know.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
us being able to reconnect after all these years, and to,
Yeah.
it's like we pick up a conversation we had back in like 1995 or
I know.
1998 or something like that. So it's like the friendship
Yeah.
didn't miss. And the reason why, you would not have known is because, you know what, with my negativity, I would have not been able to pop up on your radar. But with my
Right.
positivity now, I've met new people. I have new people
Right.
to embrace, new people to
Yeah.
reconnect to. And
Yeah.
that is just, and that's what I absolutely love about this positive journey, is that I
Yeah.
get to meet new people. I get to reconnect with people. I get to reinvent myself. So the
Yeah.
10-year-old, the 12-year-old that
Right.
has grown and is like, wow, this is still my friend on a personal
Yeah.
level, but this is my
Yeah.
friend vibrating at a different
At a,
level.
at a different level, yeah. And it's such an amazing thing to see that we are both plugging away at the same dream, you know what I mean? And after so many years, bro, like I have to say this, like it does my heart so good to see somebody that came from the same place I did, right? Came from the same culture I did, choose to be a positive force, because that's what we literally do every time we do something like this, is try to be
True.
a positive force in people's day and people's life. And if you change one life doing this, it's well worth it, right? So which kind of leads me into my next question. I came up here It feels weird saying the word transition these days. It's has such another connotation these days, but you know, we're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But here's the thing: talking about coming from Trinidad and Tobago to here, coming to Trinidad in America, which is New York City. You know, for me, I came here at 14, and it was a very, very kind of not jarring, but it was a definite life changing experience for me. How was it for you changing,
Um,
over?
it was very cool. It was very cool, and it still is cool. But
Uh huh.
okay, aside from the weather, I think what it is. At first, it was a big culture shock, and I've
Right.
never been that culture shocked in my life because I came here when I was 20 years old. I just turned 20.
Right.
Um, and what it is, it was a big culture shock. And one of the good things about coming up here is that I realized like simple things did not matter and people would not look at it. So like back in Trinidad, if I came out the street with like my clothes rumpled,
Right.
somebody would definitely tell me something about that.
Like, hey,
In
fix
New
that.
York,
Hmm. Yeah.
everybody was more concerned with their own business,
Right.
and I
Right.
think the opportunity for a fresh start
Yeah.
helped me the transition easier. That I was able to, as we say, get our ducks in a row.
Right.
It was definitely, it was hard, but because I had no choice, I had to join the New York mob, join the rat
New York
race.
mob. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to, which I'm no longer a part of the rat race because I am not a rat.
Right. Exactly.
But
Exactly. Right.
it made me leave my childhood behind and
Mhm.
become an adult very quickly.
Very quickly. Yeah.
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 I had to like get a job within a month. And I literally, not to quote Drake, but started from the bottom.
But now you're here. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally.
I get it. I get it. I
you know,
get it.
but to like conclude on that, I think the transition was probably one of the best things that happened to me because it lit a fire inside of me. So
Right.
even being the most negative, the world's biggest pessimist, I still know I still had to get out there and do some kind of work. I just
Yeah.
didn't have any
Exactly.
direction.
Yeah. And listen, everybody starts at a process where they don't really know where they want to go in life, but it is, you got to work to it, and it's one of the centerpieces of my vision for my company is helping people find their God-given purpose. And one of the first things I tell people is that, listen, it's your purpose. It's what you're here to do, what God puts you on this earth to do. It's not going to be something you figure out in the first 5-10 minutes of your life. You don't come knowing that answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So eventually you'll get there, but if you're not there right away, that's okay. It literally took me, I would say, what, till I was like maybe 30, 32, or something, somewhere around those lines, and somewhere between 27 and 32. Is But then if you take 27, that's 27 years. If you even take from 12 years old onwards, right? If you take from 20 years old or 27 years old, from that time, that's still a long period of time to not know what it is you're doing, right? But people, like, especially, and this leads into our next question, but I'll say this before I say that, is that where we come from, it is so easy to be forced into, hey, you have to choose something. You're grown now, you have your own life, you have your own family, you have to choose something. And where we come from, most times that is going into conventional employment or going back to college or whatever it is. you know but it is more of, hey, you have to do something, and you're kind
True.
of forced to have that conversation with other people or yourself or both, to kind of get to where you're going. But one thing that I have learned in my transition, because I came here when I was 14, right? I was 14 years old. And by that time, like from Trinidad standards to American standards, like, in Trinidad, you leave school like what, 16, 17, you
16,
leave in
17.
school, and then you're going into the workforce, right? But I came here before I finished school. So it was kind of like, instead of getting out of the school system in America, you're still like getting into like the last big stage, high school, in at 14. So I still had a ways to go, but I had no clue. If you would have told me at 15, 14, 15, that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, helping people, mentoring people, and doing online business and motivational speaking, I would have said you are lying, because there's no way, right? But it's not something that happens right away, and that's okay. You know, that's okay if it doesn't happen right away. So which kind of leads into, like I said, leads into my next question here, which is, because talking about Trinidad and stuff like that, can we discuss a little bit about how you think people in Caribbean culture, Trini culture, they view entrepreneurship? I know we were talking about that a little earlier today, but can you talk a little briefly about that?
Well, this is what I would say is that it's two mentalities, and this is why you need to have the right people around. So, the people I were around, when I was the world's biggest pessimist, you hear me say that a lot tonight,
Hmm.
you know,
Oh,
is
wow.
that they would be like, who you feel you is? Why am to you? Why you trying to do something? Why ain't just get a little job? Or why you working so hard?
Yeah.
And then there were the other people who was in the minority would say,
Hmm.
hey, Kev, listen, I see you trying and stuff. Keep up the
Right.
good work. I
Right.
even had there was a pastor, Rennie Clark. He
Hmm.
told me something, and it really changed how I looked at life and entrepreneurship and motivation. He said to me, he called me by my last name. He said, husband,
Hmm.
there are levels to you that the world needs to see,
Hmm.
but only you could
Wow.
show that to the world. He said that to
Wow.
me when I was 18 years old, because
Hmm.
I used to go to church on that side. And he
Yeah.
said that to me, and I never, no matter how far I've traveled and where I've gone to and stuff like that,
Hmm.
he said that to me. And
Yeah.
to go back to the direct question, is that sometimes in the Caribbean we can have a laissez-faire attitude towards
Right.
stuff, but the
Right.
people who are successful, they literally separate themselves from other people. And
Right.
separation is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you got to do addition by subtraction. You get
Right.
rid of the bad parts or the weak
And you keep
links,
it. Yeah.
and you push forward. And I think in the Caribbean we have a little more laissez-faire,
Yeah.
but we do have some positive-minded individuals. In America, I
Right.
can't afford to be laissez-faire with a
Right.
business or as an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen. You won't be in business for long.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'll take a little break here. If you guys are enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the video, please share the live. Please, if you haven't followed myself or Kevon yet, please go in the box below and give us a follow, because we're definitely kind of looking to connect with people and to continue doing what it is we do. So if you're enjoying the live, please share it out. Spread the word. Tag somebody in the comments. If you have questions for us, please let us know what your questions are. I have questions, but you might have some that I didn't think of for Mr. Husband. So please, ask any questions that you may have in the comments. All right. So let's move on to the next question I have here. So now we talked about coming from Trinidad to America, and one of the things that I still can't believe I just figured out. Well, maybe not today, but it was a couple weeks ago that you made a post. I think it's on Instagram, and you were dressed in your uniform, and it blew my mind instantly because I like somehow seeing that kind of open up a whole new way of perceiving you, boss, because I was like, man, that is amazing. And can you tell them that story a little bit, just to tell them what you do a little bit for your day job?
Well, my day job, I'm a New York City police officer. It comes with its challenges, but like I say, if you keep the right mentality, no matter what challenges you have, you find a way around. Me, personally, I'm the type of person, and I've always been this way. Enjoy laughter. So
Right.
if you was to come on patrol with me, you would be laughing a lot,
Yeah, I
and that's how
know.
I get through the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I just want to take this time out just to thank you for what you do, because I know you personally and I know the kind of person you are. So I thank you for how you represent yourself and you represent that body of law enforcement. So,
Thank you.
thank you for sharing that with us, man. It's really powerful. We'll talk about that later. That's such a powerful thing. But yeah, my next question is, what does success mean to Kevon Husband?
Wow. This is the big questions now. Okay, we're bringing out
Yes,
the big
yeah.
guns.
Bringing out the big guns.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Success for me is me vibrating on a different level, me giving off a different energy, me not only meeting goals, but learning lessons. Because on
Right.
my vision board, there are certain
Uh-huh.
goals that I have, I don't want to say failed, but I haven't attained as yet on the first
Right.
attempt.
Right.
And what it is happens with me is that I look at it and I'm like, you know what? I like to tell people this, and I think I said it in one of my videos.
Hmm.
If you learn from a loss, it's a lesson, and then you could push on to your blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not every L you take is a L. If you learn from it, you come better the next time. That's why you
Yeah.
find in like sports like boxing, if
Yeah.
one boxer wins the second time, the other
Yeah.
boxer who was defeated might come and win this time, because you know what, he
Exactly.
learned from his mistakes. The rubber
Exactly.
matches, the third match, if they have one, is where you really find out, like, okay, who learned and who experienced. And
Yeah.
you
Who
know
came out better?
I
Yeah.
you know I took a lot of losses, but I don't really look at them as losses. I turn the L from the losses into lessons, and
Yeah.
that for me is success. That even when you knock me down, even when I don't get the required
Yeah.
standard
The
or
desired
whatever,
outcome. Yeah.
yeah, the desired outcome, that I would
Hmm.
still go back, because it's easy to look at my successes of where I succeeded and feel proud about myself. But
Yeah.
where I took the L's, for me, that shows me how much more I have to go. And if I could improve on those L's, those
Hmm.
losses, turn them into lessons, then I could turn them into W's. And
Exactly.
and I could become better. To use the great Michael Jordan, back in 1994, I think it was, they had
Hmm.
lost to the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I
And
remember
Michael
that.
Jordan, to paraphrase him, he said, listen, we got beat because we were simply not good enough. But we'll
Right.
take this one as a lesson, and we will be back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say this, like, for one, I remember that season. It was such a powerful moment in history, a moment in basketball. But it speaks to this, and I say this a lot in my content too. Is that we really have to change our relationship with failure and losses. And this is something I even teach my kids. My kids are 6 years and 4 years. My daughter's 6, my son is 4. I teach them that the only way you truly lose is when you stop trying. That's the only way you lose. If you fail at something, You tried at something and you fail. It just means that you have an opportunity. I come from a human resources background and stuff like that. So when you're discussing with associates and stuff, people that are reporting to you, when instead of saying that, hey, this is the shortcoming that you have, we should work on these shortcomings. You look at it and you verbally say this, like, these are your opportunities for improvement. So even though you didn't hit the mark, it is an opportunity for you to get better. And that's what I teach my kids, is that you don't lose. You have a lesson to learn. And I am a firm believer, and as I know you are, is that failures or losses can be sometimes a more powerful lesson, more powerful tool in teaching you and taking you to success than if you have a win, right? You learn more from losses than you learn from wins. So that's what I pass on. Go ahead.
Listen, I was just going to use two sports analogies here for you. Lionel Messi went to 5 World Cups before he actually won it. Jason Kidd played in the NBA for almost 18 years before he got a championship.
Wow.
Success is not because you're trying means you're going to be successful.
Right.
You got to learn and put yourself in the right positions to be successful. And it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people have what I call the microwave mentality, that they want something, they want it now, they don't want to put in the hard work. It's kind of like throwing wood and asking for a fire without actually starting a fire.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to use that there as you were making that point.
Yeah, definitely. And listen, Les Brown, I remember Les Brown saying that he was up on stage and he was literally having people rehearse. When we say practice makes, and the first thing people jumped out there with is practice makes perfect. And he said, no, you need to kill that mindset. Practice makes improvement. Sustained improvement brings you to success, right? So I am the firm believer that success is not an event. And this is something I had to learn. Success is not an event. Success is a process, right? I am a big fan of the process, man, because it's not what you achieve, it's who you become when you achieve those things. It's who the person you are in that moment. Because one of my mentors, he says it's not enough to be in the right place at the right time. You have to be the right person in the right place at the right time. So that's why I say success is not an event, it's a process. So is that something you would agree with?
Yep. To quote Earl Nightingale, success is the progressive realization of a dream or goal.
Wow. Dropping them hammers, man. That's so good. You said it was from Earl Nightingale?
I got one more for you, but I'm waiting for the question.
Okay, no problem. All right, so let me get the next question here. This is gonna be good too. What would you say is the biggest reason why most people don't achieve success? And you could take that from Trinidad or the Caribbean mindset, or from America and your experience thus far. You could respond to one or both of those with that question.
This is something that is universal. So it doesn't matter if you're in Trinidad, Pakistan, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, Uzbekistan.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter where you are. Most people are not consistent. That's the problem. Most people make excuses, and they combine the excuses with their inconsistency. And people will talk about everything else but what they want. And this also ties into my favorite Les Brown quote. And I always tell people, even when I speak, I tell people to write this down, because this was the Les Brown quote that changed my life. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. People don't like doing stuff because it's hard. People don't stay committed to the gym because it's hard. People don't stay committed to education because it's hard. But, and this is where we get real now. But it's easy to go on the block and to sell drugs because it's easy money. It's easy
Right.
for a man to abandon his kids because he doesn't have to deal with the financial responsibility and the emotional disconnection, the
Right.
emotional connection, sorry, with his kids. It's easy for me not to go to school and to just stay
Right.
on the block and to smoke and to do non-productive stuff because it's easy.
Right.
But the
Right.
long-term compromise to that is that it's hard. And most
Yeah.
people don't like to do what is
The
hard. Their
hard
life will
thing.
be
Yeah.
hard if you look for the easy way out. But
Yeah.
if you actually stay the course, stop making excuses. I recently started last year, August, to start to lift weights and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I was making progress, but I wasn't seeing it. And
Right.
then one person told me like, Kev, what happened to you? You're putting on muscle. Then another
Yeah.
person and another person. And I'm not saying that I'm buff or anything right now. But
Bro,
what
it
I'm
did-
saying is
whoa.
that there was one that was walking in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shoot, this is me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then most people don't even get to that point
Yeah.
where they give themselves a chance to be successful. They want it to happen
Yeah.
in 2-3 weeks. They want it to happen in 2-3 days. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. For you to achieve, you have to stay committed to the course. That's why
Exactly.
college is 4 years. You know,
Yeah,
that's why
man.
college is 4 years, and a
Uh-huh.
marathon is 2.6 kilometers. Well, 2.6
Yeah.
miles or kilometers. I'm not sure which
Two
one.
point
You know, because
2.6
you have to
miles.
stay
Yeah.
committed to the course. You have to stay committed to the finish. You can't
Yup.
put halfway in between. You know,
Exactly.
that's the main thing that I
Mhm.
think is the problem with people. We are not committed and we make excuses. He that is good for excuses is seldom good for anything else.
Yes. You
There's
better
one
say
other
that
quote I want to
again.
give you that would
Uh-huh.
really help with this. It's from there's a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, and in the book he said, men are eager to improve themselves and their circumstances,
Mhm.
but, to paraphrase, but they are not willing to improve themselves, therefore they remain bound.
Right. Wow. That's powerful. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again because that's a good one. You know, the and this is the thing. One of the concepts that I was told about is, you know, because you get so into that mindset of, yes, we're staying consistent, yes, we're doing, you know, we're moving, right? But two things, you know, don't, let me see if I can put this right. Don't confuse movement with progress, right? And the second one is that, yes, you stay consistent, you're doing things to move the needle forward. But you know what? People can actually be consistent in doing the wrong thing, right? Doing things that are not conducive to progress, right? So people could be, yeah, like for instance, I work on social media. Like that's primarily where my business is centered. But if I spend all day saying I'm doing research on TikTok or on Instagram and stuff like that, and I'm scrolling and I find myself scrolling, is that really doing the right things? I may be consistent in doing what I need to do and doing research, but is that doing the right thing that I need to be doing, right? You know, people can get focused on doing all these other things, that you call busy work, right? You just get so focused on doing busy work that you're not really being productive. You know what I mean? So the thing
The
is,
term
you
is
have
called the busy idiot.
like that
Busy working idiot. And I don't mean that in a derogatory
in a
way.
derogatory
It's
way.
just that you're
Yeah.
so
You're not-
busy, but you're not producing.
You're not
You're not getting
accomplishing
anywhere.
anything. Yeah. So just be clear. Don't come for us. We're not calling people idiots because you
I'm
know how
definitely not.
you know how people are these days. They got really thin skin. So you know, like where we look, man. Where we come from, you have no choice but to have thick skin. Listen, man. You have no choice but to have thick skin. And in today's culture, I'm sorry, it's sad to say, but people have really thin skin and they sit behind computers and get mad. So please don't come for us. We're not calling people idiots. We're just trying to show you guys that you got to spend time doing things that will be progressive and motivate, and not progressive in that sense, but moving the needle forward in a positive way. So, that is such a vital thing, to be focused on doing the right things for a sustained period of time, and that's really what brings success. So this, in my opinion, is probably one of the, like, okay, so we got one more question before the last one. So um what would you say is your goal or your mission in business, your personal goal in business?
My personal goal, this is easy.
Uh-huh.
My personal goal is to make myself a business.
Right.
I am not a businessman, but I am a business
Man.
man. If you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying. To quote
Exactly.
Jay-Z,
Yeah, I know that's
to
where
quote
they
Jay-Z,
yeah.
I am not
Yeah.
a businessman, I didn't go to school for accounting, for business management.
Right.
But my brand, me, I am a
Yeah,
businessman.
and
And what I want to do is that I want to turn my motivational speaking into my way of living. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what I love to do.
Right.
If somebody would pay my expenses, I would go all over the world and do this for free. That's how much I love this. However,
Right.
I would love to get paid and get paid respectfully, handsomely for it.
Right. Definitely. And it's funny that you say that, because when I sit across from people, that is the first thing I ask them. My consultations start just simply this: if all of your bills were paid, if you had no more financial responsibilities to be worried about, your bills are paid up, your responsibility is taken care of, what would you spend your time doing? Right. And then I build from there, because that's where you kind of dig deeper and get into the heart of what people really are motivated by, what people are really passionate about. Right. So that's the question that I use. Go ahead.
Well, Nick, let me just add this to what you're saying, because you're absolutely right. I had a conversation with my barber one time, my former barber, and I asked him these 3 questions. And you could use this in your business. It's not copyright. It's anybody could use it.
Yeah.
I probably thought I came up with it, but somebody probably had a different version. There's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing.
One.
Exactly.
Do you like what you do? That's the first question you gotta ask yourself.
Yeah.
2, do you make enough money doing what you are doing right now? Right? For some people, it might be okay. They're okay with it. Some people no. Some people, yes. Now, the third question is the most important question. Is there something that you would prefer to be doing at this time other than what you're doing? And for 90% of us, the answer is yes. So the 3 questions: do you like what you're doing? Do you make enough money? And is there something else you would prefer to be doing?
Yeah, definitely. So I definitely will be folding those into my questionnaire, because they are powerful questions that get to the heart of the matter. So and the reason I do that is to help guide people to find their purpose, because the Bible says without vision, for lack of a vision, people perish. So that's why it's so important to me to help people find their purpose, and that's what literally catapulted me into the search to find my purpose. Because like my father said to me years ago, probably like 10 years ago now, he sat in my car and he said, I tell the story enough, but for those of you who haven't heard it, he sat in my car and he said, "Son, find something that comes easiest for you. Whatever you can do without putting a whole lot of effort to do, but you are passionate about, you find a way to do that, and you find a way to make a difference in people's lives." Because, dude, whether we realize it or not, even as motivational speakers, the thing that we do for people, the problem that we solve, and at the end of the day, that is the thing that we ought to focus on in business: is what problem are you solving? And the problem that we solve is we help people find that thing that's inside of them that's been placed in there by God Himself to actually take to the world to make a difference, both for His glory and for, to get us to that next level. The Bible also says your
Definitely.
your gift will make room for you.
Room for
So,
you.
that is what we leverage to take that to the world and to make a difference in people's lives. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's such a pivotal thing. And that kind of brings me, man, these segues have been powerful, man. But I wanted to ask you this last question. Well, actually, I have my customary question. Um, but this one before we close here. If you could go back to 12-year-old Kev, right? 12-year-old Kevon. And, I'm a science buff, so I think about all that stuff. But if you were to go back to your 12-year-old self, what would you say to him? If you had, let's say, 5 minutes with him, what would you say to him?
Well, there are two things I would say to him at 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24, 22, 24. But for 12-year-old Kevon, and for any 12-year-olds, anybody at 12, this is what I would say. There are two things I would say. I would say what people think and say or feel about you is absolutely and positively none of your business. The second thing I would say, I would use a scripture, Mark 9:24, and Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, anything thou believest, anything you believe will come true. Sorry, I got to paraphrase. I messed up the words for the scripture, so I don't want to misquote the Bible. But basically, have belief in yourself. It's as though William James of Harvard, who lived and died so many years ago, he said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that we can alter the minds, we can alter our lives by altering our state of mind.
Yeah.
My thing is that as 12-year-old Kevon, this is what I needed to know. And that would have put me on a bigger segue to take this world by storm. And it doesn't matter when you know it. All it matters is that you know it and you apply. So it works for Kevon Husband. It's going to work for Nicholas Francis.
Yeah, definitely. That, I asked that question a couple times before to some other guests, and I think that one is one I would definitely say, because like I said, I'm a science buff, so I think about that stuff all the time. But it works for the motivational space, because a lot of people would wish that they could get a leg up on advice on what to do, what comes next, and all that kind of stuff. Because we're that way as human beings. We always want to find out what comes next. We always want to find out how we can get ahead in life and kind of work around certain things. But we just got to take massive action. Take action in doing what you love to do, and what makes you get up in the morning. Like for me, like you set your alarm every morning to get up to go to work. But the best days in my life have been where I have gotten into doing my business, doing what God has me here to do. And it literally gets me up out of bed, where I'm up before my alarm and ready to do what God has me to do for that day. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, man, I can't sleep because I'm so excited to get to work and get to what God has next and getting that message out there. So it's getting that vitality, getting that get up and go to do the thing that God has pushed you here to do. So the last thing I wanted to ask that I try to ask everybody is, what did you enjoy most about this experience being on the Entrepreneur Spotlight today?
Well, on a personal level, I get to speak to my friend.
Oh, thank you,
That
man.
that tops off everything, Like I
Yeah.
said, we've been friends since we were kids, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We connected, and it's like the conversation just started off from 14-year-old us to
Yeah.
almost old people us. The conversation
Yeah.
just restarted. And from a
Yeah.
professional level,
Yeah.
I definitely do admire you. This all I have is admiration for you. That I see what you're doing. I might not always get the comments in. I might not always think when I try.
Yeah.
But when I see your post, I look at it, I feel love, I feel that, this is somebody that's doing something. This is somebody that has set a standard. And my personal quote is, the standard you set is the standard you get. And
Yeah.
I'm seeing somebody that has set a standard,
Yeah.
and I look up to you in that regard, because you know what? You've been doing this a little longer than me, the social media stuff. Only the past couple of years I really got into the social media stuff. And I look
Right.
up to you as, a mentor in that regard. And
Wow.
to be on the same platform with you here today, like I say,
Wow.
the personal, well, in this case, it always overcomes the professional, because I get to be
Right.
here with my friend. I just spent
Right.
an hour with my friend,
Yeah,
the
man.
knowledge, that I gain from you being on this thing, and I'm always, anytime you want me back, I'll make
yeah.
time for you to come. I'll definitely make time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, this experience has been good, because, I'm sure that somebody who was listening or who would see this, whether it be tomorrow or a year from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, when we both dead and gone, and in glory, and we'll probably be having a podcast in heaven.
I know, right?
Yeah, that somebody would be able to learn from this. And I'm grateful to be here with you. Like I say, the biggest thing about this for you is that I get to talk to my friend, and there's nothing more professional that could happen. This is, like you said, seeing that, we came from the same background. Like, a lot of people didn't know that, we thought we wasn't poor, but we were just like a paycheck away from poor.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And seeing you overcome, and seeing myself overcome, seeing you doing this and me stop being the world's biggest pessimist, to be here on this platform is manifestation. So, as the scripture says, iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir. So, man, I'm telling you, that hit me right in the chest, man. So thank you. I really believe in giving people their flowers while they're still alive and around to hear it. So, I thank God for this moment. I thank God for you, because, that is such a humbling thing to hear, that, you're being seen, and not just seen to be seen, but you're being acknowledged for the body of work that you're putting out. And I admire you also, Kev, because a lot of the things that I have seen over the last couple months, I have to tell you, man, they are life changing, and they are moments where you really get realigned with the path that you're supposed to be on. And listen, man, if y'all have not seen his videos, they're short form videos, but listen to me, they are powerful. So if you have not seen this man in action, you need to follow him on social media. So tell them how they can find you, Kev.
Well, you could just put my name in Facebook, Kevon Husband, or Kevon Alakate Husband, which Alakate used to be my stage name when I did music, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah. We'll do that next episode.
That's for another podcast. You could find me on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok at motivational_Kev. I try to put up as much content as I could. And if I may say, I just want to say two things before we close off. My book is available on Amazon. It's called Now With That Said, Just Let That Sink In.
Yeah.
And also too, I want to say that my videos, I try to keep them to 30 seconds so that
Yeah.
when you're going to work or when you're coming home, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just
Right.
want to put a little bit of positivity out there
Yeah.
in the universe.
Yeah.
And I just want those people, I just want somebody might just hear it and it might stop them from committing suicide. It might stop them from having a
Yeah.
domestic violence incident. It might stop them.
Yeah.
It might inspire them to go back to school. It might
Yeah.
cause them to render apology that
Yeah.
is needed. It might cause them to move on from their life without an apology. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
Right.
different topics. It's just for you to simple little nuggets.
Exactly.
Live positive. Take it
Yeah.
from somebody who was the world's biggest pessimist.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man. And trust me, I really pray that, people really take to your social media and follow you and support you, because what you do is needed, and what you do and your mindset and the person you are, it matters. So make sure y'all follow him all across social media. You can also follow me. I'll put all the links below, so you can follow the two of us. You can always reach me at Mr. Millionaire Insight across social media, whether on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, also by a lot of unbelievability, Snapchat. So you can reach me across social media at Mr. Millionaire
Listen,
Insight.
yo, follow my friend, okay? He's being politically correct. Follow my friend. You need financial advice? Follow my friend. You need financial wisdom? Follow Millionaire Mindset. Listen, I'm telling you, Nick is being politically correct. But I'm gonna put it this way for you. Listen, financial freedom, financial responsibility, financial fitness. This is what this guy's putting out there. Listen, if you got a couple seconds in your day to listen to Nick, please listen to Nick. Listen to Nicholas Francis. Listen to Millionaire Mindset. Okay? Like if you want, you could always plug it on my page. I'll plug it for you. But the stuff that you're putting out there has helped me. Like I said, I don't always get to like or click or everything like that, but I see the stuff you do, and I also appreciate when you share my videos also. But listen, y'all, follow Nicholas Francis. Follow Millionaire Mindset.
Millionaire Insight. Yeah, Millionaire Insight.
Sorry, Insight. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good, man.
Okay, I'm just happy to promote you. That's all.
Yes, I appreciate that, man. I love you for that, man. And listen, you are welcome back on Freedom Fridays in general, not just the Entrepreneur Spotlight. You're welcome back on the show, on the podcast, anytime. Oh, also, if you have not gone onto Spotify or you've gone onto Anchor, the Freedom Friday podcast is on those platforms. So make sure, whether it's on Anchor or it is on Spotify, please go check out the podcast, favorite it.
Anchor or Spotify. Anchor or Spotify.
So Anchor FM or Spotify, so make sure you do that. Freedom Fridays. So
Freedom Fridays. You know what I used to type up my motivational stuff. I actually had a section called Freedom Fridays.
Yeah, on that.
Who would know?
Great minds.
Yeah, I would send you some of my stuff.
Sure, man. Listen, I'm always up for supporting, especially, this is what the Entrepreneur Spotlight is like. So if you want to be a guest on the Entrepreneur Spotlight, make sure and shoot me an email, DM me, and we could definitely set it up, and you too can be featured on the Entrepreneur Spotlight. So I just want to close off here. Guys, it's been a great experience having my friend on. It's been a wonderful experience to connect with each and every one of you. And I pray that God bless you and keep you and expand your borders and bring you to the place where you get to an intimate relationship with him, and that you find your purpose in life, find your God-given purpose in life. And that's what I pray over you, that you and your loved ones are taken care of by God himself, and that you find your purpose in life and that you make the most of it. All right, guys. So until next time, guys, live life, love God. See you when we see you. Peace.